Real quick, here's my local moving guide. Go to your local truck rental place like a U-Haul, convince a couple of friends to help out, move your items to your new home, and then buy them some pizza and beer and talk about how that was a lot more work than you were expecting. Lots of sweat, hopefully no blood or tears. If you're moving out of state, you have to do everything very differently. Let's talk about that. I'm Sergio from Move Buddha. If you don't know what Move Buddha is, we're a moving resource. We're all about moving, especially interstate moving. We help over 400,000 people move annually, and we've been doing this for almost a decade. That being said, let's talk about how to move out of state. Besides the move itself, there's a lot for you to do. You have to find your new home, and to do that, you have to consider things such as your budget, safety, schools, commute, lifestyle preferences, and what the market even offers. There are a ton of things like this for you to get figured out. I mean, you're literally relocating your entire life, and there are many things that we tend to take for granted that you have to work out. All of this can feel extremely overwhelming, but I found that once you're able to label everything you need to get done, it doesn't change what needs to happen, but it makes you feel less stressed to know exactly what you need to do. So I'm here to help with that. First, let's talk about everything to do relating to your move, and after that, I'll talk about everything else about your relocation. Let's get started. First, figure out how much your move is going to cost. That part's easy. Just go to our moving cost calculator that I linked in the description and get an instant and personalized ballpark estimate of your move. Having this information will give you the peace of mind that you're not overpaying or falling for a too good to be true price. On there, you'll discover that we lay out 4 main moving options: professional movers, moving containers, freight trailers, and rental trucks. Next, you should decide which moving option is the one that makes most sense for your move and budget. Professional movers are going to be the most expensive option, but as you're well aware if you're watching this video, moving out of state is a lot, and putting your move in the hands of professionals will save you a lot of time to dedicate to everything else you need to get figured out. Truck rentals are what you're probably mostly familiar with seeing around town. It's U-Haul, Penske, and budget trucks that you rent and drive yourself. These are great affordable options for local moves, but given the complexities of an out-of-state move, you're going to want to avoid this option if possible. If you're looking for a more affordable alternative to a professional mover, look into moving containers. These are hybrid options where the company delivers the container at your house, you load it, they pick it up and take it to your new home, where you unload it and then they come back to take the container away forever. This is also a fantastic option if you need to store your items away for a few months in between moves. I've linked our top picks of the best moving container options in the description below. As I mentioned earlier, the option you're probably going to want to pick is a professional mover. They not only offer a professional crew that knows how to move fragile and bulky furniture like a boss, they also know how to properly pack and protect your belongings to avoid damage in transportation. Finally, you'll be assigned an agent that will be your point of contact with the company at all times for your peace of mind. I mentioned too good to be true pricing earlier, and that's because unfortunately it's all too common for less than reputable companies to bait customers with low prices only to increase it heavily at the last second. These companies are also more likely to do a poor job of the move. To avoid this situation, be sure to hire a reputable moving company. I've linked our top picks of vetted companies that thousands of our happy customers have worked with. Don't just take my word for it though. You can check license and insurance statuses on government databases by doing a US DOT lookup. I'll link an article that shows how to do that. Check the BBB website for any other red flags. You should definitely also check online reviews, but please note that as reputable as a mover may be, they will still have some negative reviews. As an example, JK Moving is a company with as good of a reputation as they come. They've moved presidents out of the White House, many celebrities, and have handled multiple Fortune 500 company relocations. Their Yelp review rating, 3.5. And finally, read your paperwork. Don't assume that all movers include the same things. Make sure your selected mover is offering what you need in the quoted price. Next, figure out what you're going to do with your car or cars. The gut reaction is usually to want to drive your car there. This is totally fine and doable, but if you're moving more than a few hundred miles away, you should factor in the cost of gas, tolls, food, lodging, and the wear and tear on your vehicle. If you're moving with children, that may further complicate things. At least get a quote from a car shipper or ask your moving company about their options for shipping your car. You may find that this comfort is worth the price. Before I move on to the next section of the moving out of state tips, I need to say this: book your mover as early as possible, especially if you're planning on moving in the summer or a holiday weekend. These are really busy times and get booked up early. Okay, now hopefully you have your move all set up, but that doesn't mean you should sit around and wait for the moving date to think about it again. You're going to want to do a round of sell, donate, or throw away. I've noticed that it helps to do this in multiple rounds because you may be uncertain about what to do with some things, or you may need some time to sell others. It's always easier to decide what to do with your maybe pile after a few weeks have gone by. Also, this is a great way to take inventory. Does everything really have a place in your new home? It's best to start figuring this stuff out before. At the same time, you may want to start packing your items early too. There's a good chance that you have a few boxes of things or clothes that you won't be needing in the next couple of months. The closer to the moving date you get, the more things that will require your attention. During the move, you're going to want to keep your highly valuable items on you, such as jewelry, your passport, medication, or anything that would be a huge deal if it got lost or damaged. Pack these items in something you'll keep with you, such as a carry-on or a backpack. The next few tips are about things to communicate with your movers. First, read up on moving policies. Do you live or are moving to a housing community, city, or an apartment complex? Common requirements are parking restrictions, elevator permits, or a moving notice. Along with getting these things situated with your HOAs, you should inform your movers of any rules that need to be followed. Also, ask your mover about delivery windows. How long will the delivery take? It's important to know this in order to plan any flights or lodging that you may require in the meantime. Before the move day, declare high value items. Don't just have this crazy chandelier and not let them know. If they know in advance, they can take the necessary steps to ensure and properly pack it to avoid any damage. Also, give your mover a backup point of contact. This has happened. Lots of things move around during a move, and your phone could die or you may not always have it on you. Make sure your movers can always contact you. Speaking of this, on move day, don't just keep the high value things on you that I mentioned earlier. Set aside chargers and important cables that you'll need in between the initial moving day and the day that your items are delivered. Okay, moving on to some financial things to keep in mind for your out-of-state move. Moving is expensive. Yes, there's the actual hiring of the moving company, but you're still going to want to have an emergency fund available in case any delays mean that you have to spend some extra nights in a hotel or something. Save a little money before the move, but also consider this. If you're relocating for work, talk to your employer about relocation financial support. They may be willing to pitch in for your relocation, but sometimes you won't know this unless you ask. When planning your finances, remember to take into account any differences in cost of living. If you're moving to a much more expensive part of the country, you may need a little more cushion to get started on your new life. If you don't already have a job lined up in your new home, it's a good idea to start looking ahead of time. If your job requires a professional license, research transferring your current license to your new state. If you're currently unemployed, check the state that you're leaving about their policies on receiving benefits when you've moved. You should continue to receive these benefits uninterrupted, but since these benefits are set at a state level, it's still worth confirming. In terms of taxes, unless you're moving to or from a state with no income tax, you'll need to pay tax on the income earned in each respective state. No worries, whatever tax software you use should figure this out for you. If you're moving your car, some states like California and Georgia will charge an ad valorem tax that depends on the commercial value of that car. For a little financial assistance on your move costs, MoveBuddha has created the Better Moves project. With this, MoveBuddha offers a $500 stipend in return for your documented personal moving experience. This is one of the ways that we're able to get first-hand and accurate reviews of moving companies. Okay, now let's talk about everything else you need to remember to do during your move. First off, consider child custody laws. If you have a child and are divorced, it's important to double check child custody laws about moving out of state. These can vary from state to state, but typically you need to get a written permission from the other parent or the court that presides over custody hearings. Moving out of state should not affect child support payments. We also get asked about Social Security and Medicare benefits when moving out of state. Fortunately, you don't need to worry. Neither of these benefits should be affected by your move. If you take prescription medications, go ahead and get those filled before your move. It'll probably be a while after you move that you take the time to find a new doctor. What you will need to update with your change of address are forwarding your mail with USPS, which is actually very easy to do, update any subscriptions such as magazines or meal subscription boxes, get a new driver's license, update any lenders or insurers, and your voting registration. I know this is a lot, but now you know what needs to be done. This is why we recommend professional movers to people for out-of-state moves. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.